Good morning. Good morning. All right. Welcome to Monday. Here we are, end of October. Not the complete final week, but kind of. And yeah, here we are. I'm going to give you a moment if you're joining us live to grab your coffee and get situated. Oh, I'm going to give you a moment. Hello. If you are joining us on the replay, grab a coffee, settle in for a couple minutes. Let's say hi. I feel like I'm trying to have my most motivating cup of coffee ever today. I'm feeling the need for an additional vote of motivation and confidence more than ever before. And I'll tell you about that in a moment. Cheryl, good morning. How are you? Please say hi in the comments when you connect in, again, live or later, to say hello and check in. Good morning, Angie. Don't remind me. How was your weekend? Let's start off there. Feel free to share in the comments how your weekend was. What did you do? Did you get up anything fun and cool? Did you do nothing? I think we have to also celebrate when we allow our bodies that real rest and opportunity to shut down our minds and our bodies and all of the things. So if you did nothing this weekend, I also want you to put that into the comments. Cheers. Let's go, girls and boys and everybody else. Let's go, people. That's what I need my cup to say. Let's go, people. Because we got this. My weekend it had both things and relaxation. So I love that I can find that balance most of the time. It was still kind of a busy weekend, but it wasn't outrageous busy. But I got to MC a gala on Saturday night for what I think is becoming one of my favorite new organizations. And they're not new as an organization, but they're new to my favorites list in the last few years as I've started working with them. Now, they're a charity that has been functioning around the world for over 20 years. And I've been working for them for the past 3 and have just really loved learning about what they do. And the new is Seeds. And what they do is they build sewing programs in countries around the world. They're in 7 different countries. And they go in and teach people sewing to give them a vocation to have money for their families. And I love everything about this concept. And so I got to MC on Saturday night with my good friend Daryl Jans, who we used to MC a lot of things together. Now we kind of work, he's more working in the city and I'm down here, but this one was in the city. So we got the opportunity to work together. And man, that guy, we got to get him back on here because he is just living his best life at 82 years old and had on his bucket list to host a talk show at some point. And now he's doing that. Like, it's so amazing. So, it was just really great to connect back with him, to connect in with the incredible Sowing Seeds group. They're beautiful crowd of donors and supporters, and we got to watch amazing little mini documentaries created by Rick Castiglione. And it was just such a beautiful night. So thank you to everybody who was a part of that. And I encourage you to check out Sowing Seeds Canada on social media and their website to see what they do, because it's really, really cool stuff. And so that was really fun. Yeah. I'm feeling like I need extra love and motivation today because I've continued my cold dipping challenge. Now, I'm not normally somebody who, like, I'm not always a challenge doer. Does that make sense? Like, if someone's like, well, let's do this challenge and that challenge, they don't always appeal or align to me. Now, we know a couple of years ago, I did a 20-day meditation challenge that was very life changing, and that was awesome. And I did enjoy that. And I've done the 6-week community wellness challenge before, and that's been fun. And so I'm not really a challenge person. So this one wasn't presented to me. This was one I decided that I would do myself. And so I started doing some river cold plunges or some cold dips or whatever you want to call them. And I was reading the benefits, and we had Tyrone on last week, and so I softly challenged myself to do it for 30 days in a row in the river. Now, I do have a cold plunge pool on my deck for when the weather gets really crazy, but today is feeling, we've got a snowfall warning in effect. It is chilly. It's maybe sitting at 0 right now outside. It was too cold to go outside to do coffee club, so that tells you something. And yeah, I will be going into the river later today. Yesterday was cold. Yesterday was probably the coldest dip that we had yesterday was day 21 for me. And it was the coldest day we had by far. And I feel bad for my friend Mike, who wanted to, he's like, I'm going to come and do it with you. And I was like, dude, you've picked the coldest day to come and give that a whirl. But he was a trooper. He did it. April and I are kind of pros at it now. And yeah, he went in, but she was fresh yesterday, really freaking fresh. So today is going to be a very challenging day. And I feel like these last 9 days of my personal challenge are going to be the hardest ones. And I think there's something to that, right? I mean, I was even taking some time to reflect yesterday on 21 days. And if you think about that, what is something that you've done consistently, consecutively for 21 days? Is there anything that you have? I would love you to share in the comments. Now, there's a whole philosophy behind 21 days is what creates a habit, and 21. And then there's a whole bunch of research behind, because I was doing a little researching yesterday. There's a bunch of research behind like debunking that, and that it's a myth that something doesn't automatically become a habit for you after 21 days. But it's interesting because 21 days is used a lot in, say, the Reiki world and the meditation world, and 21 days can be very significant in that grain of thinking. So I think at the end of the day, if you've done something for 21 days and you want it to become your habit, it most likely will become your habit, right? We are in control always of what we choose to do in those things. But 21 days is pretty significant. And I wanted to celebrate that in that accomplishment and reflect on, you know, how you keep going to 30 days and what that looks like. My Are they really? Yeah, are they really? Um, yeah, so it's just interesting, but I think, as always, we are in control of the choice is the point I'm making, but doing something consistently, consecutively, um, is an interesting discipline, and I don't really love the word discipline. I prefer to use the word devotion, and other people don't like that word. Everybody's got a something. But I like my discipline is my devotion to the challenge, my devotion to seeing it through, my devotion to um, making it happen is what I'm celebrating. And it ultimately is that I've disciplined myself to do it no matter what, to find the time to create the space um, every single day. And it shows us that we we have the ability to do that when we really have the desire. And so I feel like what was sort of coming up for me on that, and would love your input, is if you're trying to do something and it's not sinking like that, if it's not, and I'm not saying it's always easy, but if it's not sinking and you're over challenged in that and you're not hitting those things every day, then why isn't it aligning? Like, what is it in you that is really like down deep in the core, like do some internalizing of why you're not really desiring to hit that devotional discipline. And I look back on a lot of things in my life where um, it didn't always align like that. And there's probably a reason behind it. But in the moment, we don't really sit and be like, okay, if this isn't working, why isn't it working? And is there something else that I should be doing? Is there a twist? Is there a mindset shift? Is there um, a surrender that needs to happen? What does that look like? This particular challenge for me has, I've worked my schedule to ensure that it happens, and time for warm up and all the things every single day, because the desire for that was larger than I've had. Why? I don't know. Of all the things in my life I could be devoted to, why this one? I'm not sure, but it just is. This is my time to be um, investigating and trying and being a part of another mental health tool, because that's really what I look at it as, is another tool in the toolbox for my mental health and my physical health. And as you know, I kind of get jazzed about tools for mental health that can help not only myself, but I also get really passionate about sharing those with you. And so I'm thinking of making a kind of like a little group about cold dipping. And so if it's something that's on your mind of like you would just like to learn a little bit more about it, or how you could start doing it at home, or all of these different things, we're going to start a place where we can kind of have some of those conversations. But they're always open here in Coffee Club. You can always send me a DM, whatever that looks like. But that's kind of on my heart of like the things that I really align with, that I really want to share with you even more. And it just becomes so fun that way. And with that, yeah, more meditation classes starting this week. Angie, everyone is brave enough to do anything. But what I would do for you, my friend, just start turning your shower cold for 1 minute. That's where you start. 1 minute. Then the next week, make it 2 minutes. And the next week, try 3 minutes. Like just build it up as it feels right. But do it in your shower, because you have the ability to control that temperature and then put it back to warm yourself back up again. That's the best place for people, especially when you're feeling like you don't have the brave inside of you. That's the best place to start, because that's a safe space. Your shower is a safe space. Your bathtub is a safe space. Anyway, I love the tool. I do. I really do. And even yesterday, when we're freezing to death after because it was cold, there was wind. What what makes the dynamics switch so quickly in dipping in nature is honestly the wind. And she looks a bit howly today, but we're gonna be fine. But it's in that warm up after, like you almost have like this, it's kind of like like I want to say a high, but not the same thing. You know what I mean? But um, yeah, it just becomes something that's kind of exciting and thrilling, and hopefully it stays that way for the next 9 days. I'm feeling very challenged. Last night, looking at the weather forecast into this week, it is feeling very challenging, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna be there. It's going to be a good week. I cannot believe we are at the 23rd of October this month. Again, I don't know. Time just is so crazy anymore. And it feels fast and it feels the right amount. I don't even know if that even makes sense, but maybe you understand what I mean by that. Maybe you're feeling that too. Feel free to throw that in the comments as well. But yeah, almost Halloween. Are you a Halloween person? Are you like, do you decorate the house, do the costume thing, excited to hand out candy? Do you got littles that are still trick or treating? Like, let me know, what are the go-to exciting costumes of the year? Now, I've seen a lot of in the like adult costume world. So these are like on what I've seen on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, of people going to Halloween parties as adults. There's a lot of the whole Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce or whatever his name is, couples costumes. I feel like of late, if you wanted to be really scary, you could go as Jada Pinkett Smith, because that's seeming a little wild of late. What else? I love the classic, like, I love the costumes when the kids come to the door of all the things that are like furry and large, like those costumes are my favorite. They're so fun. Um, what else? What else could you be for Halloween? I'm always gonna love a classic witch. Um, yeah. What else? What else could be Halloweeny? Now, when my son was younger, we were very Halloweeny in the house. Like I'd have lots of decorations and different things. Now that he's older, he's not really into it in the same way. And the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years, I've worked away during Halloween. And so it's going to be different this year. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think I've handed out candy for about 5 years. I always leave some. I'm that person because I'm just like, but I love the concept of Halloween. It's always been my favorite is that I love the community within community that happens at Halloween. And I wish there was a way that allowed us to capture what we do on Halloween to make it what happens throughout the year. And perhaps those who really partake in Halloween are already doing that on some level. And what I mean by that is that on Halloween, we go out and we buy extra food and candy and we give it out freely to those who come to our door and ask for it. So that whole concept in community of giving, of receiving, of feeding thy neighbor, welcoming strangers to your door, opening your door, which ultimately opens your heart. That whole concept of Halloween is so beautiful to me because we are here for each other. We're here for each other's children. We're here to build community with each other. And it's not very often anymore that anybody wants to open their door to a stranger. Now, has the world changed? Have there been elements that have twisted that? Have there been the the opportunists from the evil side that have switched us from that? 100%. 100% there has. I'm not saying that it's always safe or whatever that looks like. But I'm just saying what warms my heart is the concept of Halloween feels so beautiful. So how can we capture the concept of Halloween, or can we, and continue that throughout the rest of this year? Even if it's just like a internal challenge, um, for our behaviors and our mindset for the remainder of the year. How do we take how we feel, how we act, how we express community from next Tuesday to the remainder of the year? Any thoughts on that? Or am I just high on Smarties? Like, I would love that. Daryl, I just bought 5 boxes of candy yesterday. I'm hoping to have 3. Yeah, see, you're shopping too early. You gotta hide it. You gotta hide it. Or I found you Halloween candy shop. Here's my tip: the stuff you don't like. I find though, if you're craving sugar, you're gonna eat it even if you don't like it. But buy the things that you don't really enjoy eating, and then the chances of them making it to Halloween are usually like this much higher. But good morning, Daryl. Anyway, that's what sort of pops on my mind sometimes when I think about Halloween and the process. And I think the majority of us in our communities have that mindset and have that heart. And were we ever asked, or someone came to our door in need of help and support, or you see the posts on social media where someone needs help and support, we jump to the opportunity to help and support. I just don't know if we feel that spirit all the time. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's not easy. Deanna, good morning. Welcome. That's what's on my mind today. I watched two very good documentaries yesterday that I wanted to talk about for a quick moment. And then anybody who's watched something amazing, throw it in the comments. I would love to share. So, first, what I watched yesterday was the Mr. Dress Up documentary, The Power of Make Believe, which was phenomenal and heartwarming. And I didn't know his story, actually, Ernie Coombs. I didn't know. I mean, I grew up watching Mr. Dress Up. He was a staple part of my routine in my life as a child, and I loved Mr. Dress Up, and I loved Casey and Finnegan, and I love everything that they were doing with that show, and then seeing sort of the story behind how that was. I had no idea that he originally got his start with Fred Rogers and that they were very good friends and all of those pieces. He died very young at 73, and yeah, but it was a great documentary, and his journey to become a Canadian citizen, which I also didn't realize he wasn't Canadian born. Not that that matters. I loved that he wanted to become a Canadian citizen and why, and how much he loved Canada, I think was really cool. The second documentary I watched yesterday was called We Were Children. Now, obviously, the feel good fuzzies leave you from one documentary to the next, but this, of course, documented two residential school survivors' stories. And it's a tough watch, I will be honest, because if you have heart and soul for all the humans in our world, it's extremely a hard watch. It's one that I would recommend everybody do because, one, we need to really educate ourselves on the piece of our Canadian history that is not okay. And I think we often like to focus on the things that are positive and we want to stay. And I'm not saying we're going in a negative place, but I believe to cure our ignorance, to open our hearts, and to allow ourselves as a nation to move forward in a healed and beautiful manner, we have to watch stories like this. And what I found interesting from the two survivors that shared in that documentary is they also need their stories to be told. And most importantly, they need their stories to be believed. Because, and I wasn't really thinking about it until she said it in the documentary yesterday, but I've heard it if I think about conversations that I've heard people say in the past and different things. And yeah, there's people who didn't think the things that was said that happened at these schools happened, and they happened. And so it just really hit me in we have to allow stories to be told for their healing journey to happen. We have to hear them and receive them. And together, we have to give their belief, them our belief to help their healing process. I really do feel that. And I had watched the first two episodes of Bones of Crows probably about a month ago. Also incredibly um, amazing to watch. So please also check that if you're in a journey where you want to educate yourself and open your heart and be a part of this process that I feel we all need as humans to help each other through. Both extremely good. Both were on Prime, I believe, if you're looking for where that is. But if you have watched something, any topic of late, please throw that into, and it doesn't have to be a documentary. It could just be a show you're loving, a movie you thought was great. I kind of love, the documentaries of late. Paula makes a really beautiful point as well. Yeah. I think this brings up a great point. Thank you, Paula, in teaching ourselves what appropriation is. And it's difficult because I think we often have the mindset, most often, one, we don't even think about it. And two, we think that it's a way of honoring. And so you got to check in with yourself with, is it really honoring or is it appropriating? And when you don't know the difference between the two, if you're in an honest situation where you're not sure, ask someone. Just ask someone. Never in the world are we truly, I think people fear the ask. Okay. And my experience, because I have really approached things with, I might say this wrong when I ask you this question, and I apologize. But where I'm coming from, my intention is I want to learn, I want to love, I want to be a better human. And then I ask my question. When people know questions come from a place of honest to goodness intention, they will answer your questions. If your question is coming from ignorance or anger or not really caring or kind of looking for a fight about it, because there's those attitudes in this world, um, then that's when the question's offensive. But most people that I have talked to when I've been wanting to educate myself on any topic, but especially in our beautiful Indigenous communities, is they are happy to answer those questions and to tell you the right way of honoring them. Look up the definition of what reconciliation is, and then maybe that helps you. I could go on that topic for hour, but would love you to watch um, We Were Children and Bones of Crows. Both were very good and very uh, educating. And Mr. Dressup is lovely. He is so lovely. It was actually very interesting to also, yeah, just hear about the puppeteers and all the other players. But that's what's on my heart and my mind today that I wanted to connect with you and share. So hopefully that feels good to you too. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Thank you for checking in and having coffee with our community. As always, a big, huge cheers to you. This is my motivating cup. And I wanted to say, let's go, people. And yeah, if you follow my socials, I will be posting later what I'm thinking is going to be the coldest cold dip of my journey yet today. But I will be there with, well, not with bells on because they'll probably just freeze, but I'll be there. And I have a friend joining me today, I hope. So that makes it even a little bit easier to do when you're not doing it alone. But yeah, friends, I hope you have an incredible Monday. I hope you have a beautiful start to your week. The weather is definitely changing in Southern Alberta. And so here we are. Get ready for it. We are at the end of October. So we are switching from beautiful fall to the other one. And all change is beautiful, I guess, at the end of the day. But sometimes we're just not ready for it. But we could do a whole coffee club on change, couldn't we? Anyway, have a beautiful start to your week. I will see you back here on Wednesday morning at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. Cheers to you, my loves, and have an amazing day. Oh, and one last reminder. You are really, really, really important. And this world is a better place because you're in it. So thank you for that.